Hey, Pastor Casey here once again. As you're watching this on Monday or maybe shortly after this, I'm not here at Redeemer Lutheran. I'm taping this a few days in advance. I'm probably sitting on a beach down in the panhandle of Florida, enjoying vacation, enjoying my time with Corey, my boys, seeing Corey's parents, Bill and Jody, just enjoying this life and the blessings that God has given to me. But you may have noticed, I'm wearing a ball cap. I'm looking a little bit more scruffy than I normally do. I've got my summer tan going on. I've been spending the last few days down at Camp Carol Joy Hauling with 9 of our confirmation youth, and it's been a great week. I love doing this. As a pastor, Confirmation Camp Week is one of the great weeks of the year. And I love it because I know that for a lot of those youth that are down there this summer, and it's not only the kids from Redeemer Lutheran, but kids from all around the state. And I love it because there's kids from Omaha, Lincoln, Lexington, you name it. Kids from all over the state will be coming to camp this summer. And I just love seeing that faith come alive in the life of a young person. It reminds me of being their age, and I look back at how God grew that faith inside of me, and I remember my week at confirmation camp. I remember a pastor being there with me, teaching me different stories from the Bible, but maybe even more than that, I remember those camp counselors, college kids, sharing their faith and really making faith cool. And I just love that because, for us, sometimes faith can just be something that we go to on Sunday to hear the Bible, and sometimes it can be kind of an obligation, but confirmation camp, it really comes alive. Now, the Bible verse that I want to focus on today, I'm going a little bit out of my normal routine. Normally, I pick a passage from our chronological Bible reading, but the gospel message read yesterday to you in church. I wasn't there. Pastor Scott Johnson gave the message. I'm sure he did a great job, but the gospel message from yesterday is one that I really love. And, picking vacation weeks, I wish I'd have picked a different week to go on vacation because I would have loved to preach on this gospel passage because Jesus talks about this parable of the mustard seed. And you know it, you've heard it. It's a great parable, though, and it's this idea of God's kingdom. And normally, almost nor always, when we think about God's kingdom, we think about one thing. We think about heaven. And we think about the place that when we take our last breath and we're a follower of Christ, we'll be in God's kingdom. That Jesus Christ saves us, and that when we live this life in faithfulness, when we die, we'll be with God and God's kingdom. But as Jesus teaches in this parable, God's kingdom is not only in heaven, it's not only above, but God's kingdom is right here. It's right now. And he uses this parable, the mustard seed, I think for a purpose, and then saying that sometimes we don't always see it. Sometimes we don't always know it, but it's there. And it's got the possibility to grow into something so much bigger than sometimes we can ever even begin to imagine. So if you would, let me please read just a little bit from our gospel passage yesterday that you may have heard in church yesterday. So from Mark 3, beginning in verse 30, Jesus teaches, "With what can we compare the kingdom of God? Or what parable will we use for it?" Now, I love Jesus' parables because his parables, he used the everyday common things of his day and age. 2,000 years ago in Israel. So he uses sheep, he uses shepherds, he uses the mustard seed. If Jesus were alive today in Nebraska and he was teaching these parables, he wouldn't teach on shepherds because we don't have sheep here today. He would probably use cattle, or he would use corn, or he'd use the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But he did this for a purpose because he wanted people to look out in the world today and get these great understandings about God and heaven using these stories, these parables. So back to the parable. Jesus uses this parable. It is like a mustard seed which when sown upon the ground is the smallest of all the seeds on earth. Yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes the greatest of all shrubs, and puts forth large branches, so that the birds of the air can make nests in its shade. Now, I wanted to find out just how small is the mustard seed. And one of the perks of living in 2021 is you can get on Amazon and you can almost find yourself anything. And so that's exactly what I did. I found some mustard seeds. And, I found myself some mustard seeds right there. And to show you how small these seeds are, now there's hundreds of mustard seeds in this package right here, but they really are tiny. And Jesus uses the mustard seed to make his point. And if I hold up just one mustard seed, you can see that you can barely see that inside of my fingers. And I think Jesus is trying to make a point. Sometimes when you look out at the world and you just see all the crud that goes on, there's violence and people not treating each other with respect and with dignity, you can wonder, where is God at? Where is God's kingdom? Where's the grace? Where's the Christianity? Where's, how we're meant to live this life? We're meant to be followers of Christ. Where is it? And he uses this mustard seed to say sometimes you can barely see it. But then he uses this for a purpose, because this mustard seed, if it's planted and if it's cared for and if it's tended for, it grows into this huge shrub. In fact, it grows to be about 25 feet tall, this massive, massive shrub. It can all start off as something really, really small. Now, what I liked about this gospel message, I've been at camp, and I've noticed all these young people, and I think the one great hope for pastors and for other, Christian leaders is that they'll go to camp for these 5 days, and there'll be some type of spark ignited in their hearts and in their souls, and it doesn't always happen all at once. But the hope and the prayer is that this week, as they go to learn more about God and they're with other faith leaders, that mustard seed that starts off so small will grow, and it will grow, and it will grow, and that these young people make a difference in our world, that they will bring God's kingdom, its perfection into heaven, and they'll bring part of that down here to this earth to make this place a better world for us to live in. So this week, would you pray for our youth? Pray for all those kids that go to confirmation camp at Camp Carol Joy Halling or any other camp here in Nebraska or throughout our world. Pray for our youth as they come for VBS next month. We're doing a great one here at Redeemer Lutheran. Visit our website to get signed up today. We just pray that, that faith, that spark, that mustard tree grow and grow in fullness and great faith to become what God intends it to be.